Today, we gather to honor the lives of 6 precious children who were taken from us far too soon. Their absence leaves an ache in our hearts. We mourn alongside the Smith family, sharing in their grief and offering our support. Our heart goes out to the Smith family who are bearing the weight of this horrific tragedy. No one can imagine the pain and grief that you are feeling right now. Sunday, January 21st, will forever be etched in our minds and in our hearts.
Good evening and thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Lauren Moss. We'll check in with Joshua Short in just a moment, but we start with a look back at how we got to this day. The funeral of 6 children killed in a fire west of downtown South Bend just over 2 weeks ago. These are the young victims of that fire: 17-month-old Faith, 4-year-old D'Angelo, 5-year-old Deontay, 9-year-old Davida, 10-year-old Demetrius, and 11-year-old Angel Smith. The 6 deaths making this the deadliest fire in South Bend since 1929. That's according to a report by the South Bend Tribune. Fire crews were called to their home in the 200 block of North LaPorte Avenue, finding it engulfed in flames. It took crews hours to put it out amid cold and windy conditions. Since that day, a memorial with teddy bears, balloons, and other items rests in front of the home, a scene that still gives us chills anytime someone goes past it. Our Joshua Short attended the funeral this morning. He joins us from the Century Center after an emotional day. Josh, what's the latest?
It's been an emotional day for everyone involved, both those who know the family and know these kids personally, but also those who are just getting to know these 6 kids as well. Lauren, you know just as well as I do, today is tough stuff, right? And when you're trying to sit back, just to peel back the curtain a little bit and write a story like this, it's hard to do so. It's hard to actually put words with what we heard earlier today at this funeral service at the Century Center where I am right now. And so I decided not to write a story. So here's what they had to say.
Like the lowly Jesus. Whoa.
They were a great bunch of kids.
No, not one.
They were survived by their father, David.
So it's taken a while to sort of come to grips with this one, but we will.
Jesus knows, he knows all about. He knows all about our struggle, yes.
They tried to make friends with absolutely everybody, no matter how old they were, how young they were. They were a group, a bunch of kids that I know that each one of you would have loved and appreciated them as adults being in your community.
I feel for the dad and the mom and the family. God bless them in the name of Jesus Christ. Josh, it's so sad, sweetheart.
Saying farewell to this beautiful little angel long before her time. And that doesn't feel right.
These jackets have been made for Demetrius and Davida, and they will be hung in our gym. We're going to get them framed. They have their name.
Look at these so beautiful, innocent children. May God bless them in the name of Jesus Christ.
Like the lowly Jesus.
One of the toughest things about all of this is when you walked into the memorial service and even really before the funeral, during the visitation, seeing the number of first responders, the number of badges inside of the room, right behind me at the convention hall here, that told you the story, right? That helps tell the story of just how much this community has adopted this family, these 6 kids, the fabulous 6 as they've been known, the Smith 6 as others have called them. It shows you just how much this community cares about this family. We also heard from teachers. We also heard from superintendent of schools here in South Bend as well. Included in that, of course, Todd Cummings. We caught up with him earlier this morning one-on-one as he talked about how his staff and students are trying their best to cope right now. He says teachers, along with members of the community, are really coming together to support these kids. Listen.
But the teachers who have not only ensured students are reading and they're working hard, but they've had to support classmates and explain that these students are never coming back, and especially Deanna Jones, who is a teacher at Madison, have just done an amazing job. And also to the community, the outpouring we've gotten from the community. So Oaklawn, Save, Lynn Coleman, everyone that's wrapped their arms around Madison during this really difficult time. We're framing this in gratitude, how the community has come together.
And my colleagues on the other side of the clock doing some heavy lifting this morning as well, included in those, Christine Karsten. She talked to the principal of Madison STEAM Academy this morning, where 2 of the children went to school. We heard from her briefly. We want to hear from her again. She told us about the moment Demetrius, his best friend, learned why he was gone.
Monday, after we found out about the fire, I walked into Deanna's classroom, and one of his best friends had no idea. And so I walked in to see him and another classmate holding hands, and he was being consoled. So that was hard to see, but just to make sure that when those moments do happen, that we get them the need that they need pretty immediate, and their families as well.
And look, I didn't invent this saying, but grief, it does not discriminate whatsoever, especially when it comes to age. This is why this story specifically is so tough to even talk about, right? When it comes to those who are younger in age. So our team got some advice from Vicki Brown, who's the CEO of Dustin's Place, which is a local group aiming to help kids and their families grieve. Here's what she told our team.
But with kids, they can't sit in that hard pain. And so we see it come out in their behaviors in the classrooms. We see it come out in their lack of sleep regression. We'll see it come out in their inability to focus and to do the tasks that they have always done.
And we've talked about a string of cloudy days, right? It just seems eerie that we've had those days because we had time to reflect and think about this family. Today, bright and sunny, even though for just a moment in time, it was a sad day. The way that people left out of here, they left loving each other a little bit more, holding each other a little bit more. I think that was the message members of the clergy wanted people to know. Hundreds who came here to the Century Center to remember the Smith Six. Lauren, back to you.
Joshua Short, great coverage today. A beautiful tribute to those 6 little kids. Joshua will rejoin us at the end of the show to close our coverage on the day, and a very emotional day for our whole community, as these 6 babies are laid to rest. You can find all our coverage from today on our website, WNDU.com. Switching gears for just a moment, let's take a look at our forecast. We're taking a live look outside at Lake Michigan. As Josh said, a beautiful Monday for us, as that sun is now setting. Let's go check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht for the latest details. Matt?
Yeah, we had sunshine today. We're going to keep it around the next couple of days. Temperatures gradually warming up towards the end of the work week. In fact, could be talking about some isolated thunderstorms. Nothing severe, but isolated thunderstorms on Friday. That should tell you just how warm it is expected to get. But as we talked about the last couple of weeks, still eyeing the middle of February, around Valentine's Day, for the second half of February to be at average with our temperatures, because the start of it has been anything but. 37 degrees right now. The wind has gone calm, but that wind from the north and the northeast with that Lake Michigan has cooled things down pretty significantly. Michigan City at 34 degrees. Then you come away from the lake, and we're actually at 45 in Goshen, 47 in Elkhart, hit 50 degrees earlier today. We zoom the map back out, pocket of some cooler air, but where we're going is the air that's down there. We'll talk more about that extended forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Matt, thank you. Developing now, a man is dead after a welfare check in Berrien County. Police responded to a home in the 900 block of East Empire Avenue on Sunday on a welfare check for a missing person. Here's a look at that scene today. Police found the body of an 80-year-old man. The details around his death are believed to be suspicious, which is why police are investigating the case as a homicide. The name of the victim has not been released just yet. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Benton Township Police Department or Michiana Crime Stoppers. It's a solar eclipse of sorts in Marshall County. There was a lot of talk about bringing solar farms to the county, but in the end, there was no action. Our Mark Peterson is covering that story for us tonight and joins us live in studio with more. Mark.
You know, for many solar farm opponents at today's meeting, the Marshall County Commissioners, doing nothing was actually seen as better than doing something.
Okay, this is a bad deal for this county. Okay,
it was close to being a standing room only crowd. While the House was packed, the speakers were polite In the end, neither solar farm supporters nor opponents won.
I think it was a wait. That's what I think.
Today, a big topic was a 2-year moratorium. Like I said, we have a commissioner who stands to benefit from battery-powered storage, and of course that has to deal with solar. And we want to have him out of the decision-making process.
I do not have anything to do with solar. My wife and I own 13 acres that we were approached about battery storage, which has nothing to do with solar.
Commissioner Overmeyer says some farmland has been assembled near the Burr Oak substation, but no application for a solar farm permit has yet been filed. Today, the question of whether he should abstain from voting quickly became moot.
I made a motion today, died for a lack of second. There is no vote taken.
Passage of that motion would have put more distance between solar panels and neighboring homes into the county zoning ordinance. For some, though, still not enough.
Farmers have their rights to do what they need on their farms, but at the same time, the people that are next door to those solar fields need to have their property rights so that they aren't going to lose property value.
Now, since the commissioners failed to act on the proposed changes in the zoning ordinance, Overmeyer says an unamended version will actually take effect 90 days from the date it was passed by the County Plan Commission. That would have been December 28th.
Okay, to be continued. Our Mark Peterson live for us. Mark, thank you. And there's plenty more to get to straight ahead on this busy Monday, including Matt's full forecast. We'll be right back after this.
You're watching WNDU TV. 16 News Now at 6.
This weekend, you can get a behind-the-scenes look at careers in the STEM field at the St. Joseph County Public Library. Science Alive is heading back to the library this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. In fact, you could see our very own first alert chief meteorologist, Matt Engelbrecht. Let's go. You can check out interactive exhibits, participate in hands-on science demos, and more. And for more information and to view that full schedule, just head to our website, WNU.com. Matt is very excited about that. He'll have some more details coming up when we check in with him in about 30 seconds, plus our first alert full forecast. It's looking pretty good. We'll be right back.
Science Live on Saturday? Come on out. We are going to have some fun. I promise you. Here's a look at what we have at Mishawaka again. Live cam show. Beautiful sunset in and across the area. While we love full sunshine, the cloud cover at dusk as it sunsets just adds a little texture to the sky. 39 degrees right now. Winds to the northwest at about 8 miles per hour. A feeling more like 33 degrees. Taking about 6 degrees off with that wind. Visibility, no problem there. I will mention the dew point. The measure of moisture in the atmosphere is around 28 to about 30 degrees. Same place we expect our temperatures to go tonight. So anticipate some frost forming tomorrow morning and again on Wednesday morning. After that, I don't think we have to worry about frost at all. 50 degrees, high temperature on Wednesday, upper 50s Thursday and Friday. Looking through kind of the climate data, this is a typical day for the month of April, and here we are still in the first few weeks of February. Now we are going to be cooling back down. A system is going to be coming through, cutting right across the United States Friday and into Saturday. So temperatures will start to come back down to average. Unlike January, where we completely skipped average, went from above average to well below average, this is looking more like we'll come back from the 40s down to the 30s for high temperatures, but certainly some colder air out there this time next week. 45 degrees right now in Goshen, 41 in LaGrange, 46 degrees in Warsaw. Mentioned this at 4 o'clock because it was an extreme difference. 34 in Michigan City with that northeasterly wind coming off the lake and keeping our temperatures in the mid-30s where we're around 50 degrees through Elkhart, Osceola, even into Plymouth. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 40s. Northeasterly wind. Live radar is all clear right now. Zoom the map back out and you'll hear more about this from a national perspective. What's going on the West Coast, specifically LA. If you watched the Grammys last night, they were dealing with a lot of water in and across the area. Well, that energy is going to work from the west to the east. And unlike this past weekend where the energy is going to cut to the south, it's actually going to work right across the Midwest and through parts of the Midwest and Michiana coming up this weekend. So by Saturday, you'll start to see that warmer than average conditions retreat back to the north and to the northeast with cooler temperatures on the way this time next week. But otherwise, make those plans outside Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Next week, though, back in the 30s, possibly some snow in our forecast. We'll talk sports after the break.
It's playoff time for girls high school basketball here in Indiana, and over the weekend we had sectional championships, and let's take a look at some of the results of the host teams. Let's start in South Bend, where South Bend, Washington was the Class 4A sectional champion for their host sectional, and The host Panthers won their 4th straight sectional championship, beating Adams on Saturday night. Kira Reynolds had a triple-double with 24 points, 18 rebounds, 16 blocks. They'll play Lake Central in regionals. Now to the other local Class 4A sectional, Northridge also won the title over at home as the Lady Raiders survived a close 2-point win last week over Warsaw in the first round before beating Elkhart in the semis and then ultimately Penn in the championship. They play Valparaiso next in regionals. And then it's one more over to New Prairie in Class 3A. The Cougars made history on Saturday night, winning their first sectional title since 2000, beating South Bend Clay 56-38. Jolie Johns had a huge championship game, scoring 24 points, including 4 3-pointers in just the second quarter. They'll now play Northwood in their regional game. And now we bring in South Bend Tribune Preps sports reporter Austin Huff.
That's me.
For more on these teams heading to regionals. Thanks for being here, Austin.
Thanks for having me, Jackson. I'm excited to be back. I've only talked Notre Dame on this show before, so I was excited to do my beat, actually.
Yeah, let's get a little basketball action going. Let's start with South Bend, Washington. Yeah. What makes this team so special?
I mean, they have 3 Division I players at the top of the roster, which helps a lot. And, of course, Kira Reynolds, you mentioned, you read the stats, 24 points, 18 rebounds, 16 blocks. 16 shots in one game, that's crazy. But Raya Wilson, Monique Mitchell, also great. And they've a team that's kind of figured out their roles as the year has gone on. So, they're really talented at the top, and the role players are also developing into their roles as well.
I was going to say, and some of those players have already won a state championship back in 2022. Yes. So they have a lot of experience on that team.
Yeah, and they were semi-state last year as well. So this is a very experienced group.
They know how to win.
Yes.
All right, let's go over to Northridge now. Where do the Lady Raiders really stand out?
They are so balanced, man. They have like 5, 6, 7 players, all averaging like 5, 6 points a game. Gabby Gates, Rylan Goodwin, Sabrina Miller, Morgan Cross, just to name a few off the top of my head. But they play really solid defense. They have all energy, all heart. This is a group that's played together since they were like in 3rd grade. And they've been building to this the last couple of years. They won a sectional last year, get it on their home court this year, win it again. They earned it too. Elkhart, Penn, Warsaw, all very good teams. So kudos to the Raiders for gutting it out against a really good sectional field.
And you mentioned against Warsaw, that's just a 2-point win in the first round. That is so tough.
Yeah.
Right? It's a tough road right there.
Yeah.
And finally, let's get to New Prairie. What about this team allowed them to be the first team in 24 years in program history to get that sectional title?
They play great defense. First off, they have one of the best defensive efforts in the country, or the state. That'd be funny if they were in the country. But they also have 8 seniors, though. This is, again, similar to Northridge. They've been building to this for a while, especially under Coach Amy Lichter. This is her 4th year. So this is her senior class, her first senior group. They've built it for 8 years. They're playing the right way, and they're 20-5, and they are absolutely worth that record. So they're a very good team. It'll be fun to see them play Northwood on Saturday. First one to 30 might win that game.
I was going to say, you see those two teams that are definitely defensively minded.
Yeah.
Well, Austin, thank you so much for coming on today.
Appreciate it, Jackson.
You can find Austin's work in the South Bend Tribune and also on Twitter at Austin R. Huff. And stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let us all take our collective breath if we can. This is tough stuff. We understand this, and that's why we're trying to hold your hand through this entire last 2.5 weeks, really. I want to at least ask for your forbearance if I can, because I'm smiling to keep from crying in this moment. When you talk about these 6 young kids, where were you that night, right? Think about where you were when you first heard about there being a fire. I know where I was, and I was surrounded by family, friends, loved ones, but also kids their ages. And that's what makes this story tough, right? Well, one thing I can tell you, being in this room at the convention hall early today, listening to a lot of these speakers, the message they wanted to push home is that do not let the Smith Six, as they're calling them, their deaths be in vain. We know that there are a lot of you talking on social media about certain things, where the investigation will go next, but today is about, and has always been about, those kids. We have talked more about mental health in the last couple weeks than we have before because of them. We have talked more about fire prevention over the last couple of weeks because of them. Think about what they've done for us, making an impact far greater than a lot of us who have been on this earth far longer than those 6 kids. So Lauren, as I bring you into this conversation, it's hard to say we're wrapping this up or putting a bow on this. We know there's more investigation to come, but this is really tough. And I think we needed that perspective there to kind of end things tonight.
Absolutely, and beautiful tribute for those kids. Our coverage started at 5 o'clock this morning, and we appreciate you being at that funeral. I know it was an emotional day for you too, Josh.
It was emotional, but at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? We're here to tell a story, but this is no doubt one of the toughest stories we had to tell for sure, Lauren.
And I think we told their story pretty well. Joshua Short live for us. Thank you for joining us for this special coverage, Smith Family Funeral. For more details, just go to our website, WNU.com. Make sure you tune in tonight at 11 for a full recap as well.